The one time, it's the family bloodline.
And we are back one time for the one time, the family bloodline. Here we are once again. It is all right. I'm gonna check my messages. It's Deuce and Jay Glass the movement, and tonight we are going to be looking at Trump's president-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks so far.
He said, "Put some respect on his name, man. He's former president-elect."
I ain't doing all that. He got what he got. He got what he got. I gave him the correct definition. So
second time in U.S. history.
It's craziness, man. It's
It's
crazy.
wild.
It's the United States, though. So what can you do and say? What can you do and say? How's your day been so far, bro?
Man, after I woke up from that experience of the election, I woke up to a new experience of post-election. So I'm just jumping from experience to experience, bro.
Yeah. I think we're in the same boat, as it were. We're just trying to figure out what things are going to look like after January 26th. It's going to be different, and we're seeing how things are shaping up. Some people are happy about it, and some people are a bit. I'm trying to think of a good word. Frightened, to say the least.
Frightened would be a good word. Which I'm shocked because you are like the wordsmith, and for you to get stuck on coming up with a word that lets you know the depths of the situation, right? That's insane.
Yeah, because apprehensive wouldn't do it justice.
No.
Frightened isn't the correct word. Melancholy doesn't sum it up because it's a conglomeration of all of those put together.
Yes.
So go ahead.
I got to say before we go into the picks, man, I'm trying to remember the last time I seen a mollywopping of this degree in politics, man. The Dems got mollywopped out.
Yeah.
The Dems got whipped worse than Tyson.
Yeah, they got hit hard. They got hit
like
hard.
Nate Robinson level when old boy fought Nate Robinson and laid them out on the mat.
Oh man.
That's the level of we got some work to do.
We do. The hope is that so let me back up.
Mm-hmm.
America always gets what it asks for, and
does it
yeah, it does. And I say that because we promote progress, but we are still in such an archaic state as a nation that it's hard to actually be there, to be that progress that we all claim that we have and that we are as a nation. So it sounds good coming off the lips, but the action that should be behind it is often not there. And so we get what we ask for. And I think what we asked for is to stay the same and be comfortable with regression. Unfortunately, that's what it actually looks and feels like, because Americans get complacent very, very easily, and we get comfortable in our ignorance. Yeah, we get comfortable in our ignorance, and we tout it in huge regards as American exceptionalism. Again, that's that phrase that I keep telling people it's such a dangerous phrase when you take into account what it actually means and where it's coming from and how it's promoted and who it's promoted by. Even the word patriot and the ism behind it, the belief in being a patriot and patriotism, has been somewhat perverted in the sense that, well, I'm a patriot if I vote for this person. But the
Mhm.
actual definition of what a patriot is has nothing to do with the actions that people are promoting, unfortunately. And so, being comfortable in a regression and staying in our own finite solace of living yesteryear as if it was a good thing for Americans, right? Even when we talk about economics, our economics, the income has never kept up with the amount of inflation for the actual household ever,
Mhm.
ever. And
No,
that leads into talking about tariffs. And we talked about tariffs once before.
we
And
did.
the average American, I'm finding out that the average American doesn't actually understand what a tariff is and what it does to an economy. And it's so disheartening, uh, knowing the level of education of the common general person, even if it's self learned. In my case, that
Mhm.
it forces me to confront the reality of the situation.
Right.
James Baldwin. It's a James Baldwin type of experience, unfortunately.
Wait,
So
when you talk about it, man, I am flabbergasted. I am appalled. I am astonished. I'm going on my James Glass tip right here. At at the amount of people who have no idea about what a tariff is. One person I talked to, they were named nameless, thought a tariff was like a new import, a product. They thought it was some cloud
no,
computing tech stuff. Yeah. Oh, Trump's bringing in tariffs. It means like some new cloud computing stuff, man. So
you got
I
kidding me.
broke it down and I did some more research into this, man. We know that Trump, because we're talking about the candidates that he nominated for the cabinet positions, right? And
Yeah,
if you notice, I don't know if your list, my list, one key position that was missing, that's not a shock, is Secretary of Education. Because last time it was the boys
yeah.
who
The boys.
directed the boys. Yeah. There's no one there now. But as we know, Project 2025, which everyone says, that's not him. That's not him. That's not him.
Oh,
It says eliminate the Department of Education because when you look at the statistics of who voted for who, there were a lot of take race out.
yeah.
College educated, self educated, others. That's the best way I could describe it. The
Yeah,
others voted for him in tranches, right? And I was like, man, college education. People were talking about this for a while. So I did a little digging. Back in the day, 70s and before, it was easier to
uh,
go to college because there was a lot of a plethora of federal aid that helped
yeah.
people get from high school to college. Who was president in the 80s? Who made the crack babies? Reagan.
Reagan.
Reagan
Yeah,
got in office and cut a lot of that educational funding. Who does
yeah,
Trump idolize? Reagan.
yeah.
It's a page out of his playbook. If they make people dumber by by putting barriers into college education, to putting barriers up, not just that, college education period, because people were becoming more indoctrinated with conspiracy theories and not even want to do the work to see if this is a conspiracy or is some truth in it. No, people fall in love with what other people think, that these talking heads on TV. And Fox
Yeah.
News is one of the biggest. So by making more dummies and putting the barriers up to professional education and educating yourself to create people who just don't think first, uh, who are more inclined to listen to other people's ideologies and adopt it as their own,
Mhm.
will vote the way that the loudest voice says vote. And I can't
Sure.
think of another political candidate that is louder than Trump.
Okay. I can. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down for sure. It also a lot of this also shows the emotional intelligence of America.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, so that's what we get. Yeah.
Again, yeah. Um, Talking about patriotism, but removing the your neighbor from that definition and being blinded to any emotions of the effects of how your neighbor might be affected, surrounding again tariffs, and when we talk about the different candidates for the cabinets, even when it comes to basic commerce, or it comes down to what people are going to be bringing in, that they don't care about that. What's going on, Cuzzo? It's not something that's seen, listened to, or heard to. And again, the average salary has not increased in lockstep with inflation. It never has. And understanding certain points of commerce, certain points of economy, socioeconomics, global economics, and how we're tied into all these intricate, interwoven uh, things, it's lost. And so patriotism becomes a self-defined type of thing that can be seen on a person's t-shirt or a hat. That's what it's been boiled down to. Or simply saying, well, you know, it should be illegal to burn the flag, but ignoring the First Amendment of the Constitution, or not understanding what the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution is, or how it's being violated, not understanding what the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th Amendments of the Constitution are, and being
Hold on.
ready to have these things violated.
Wait, are there amendments passed too? Because leave it to the news, man. 1 and 2 are the only two that matter. I didn't know there were amendments. I didn't know it went that high. Okay,
There's another 25 that's out there that people just completely gloss over, and so when they're waving the banner of patriotism, but allowing everybody else's rights to be stripped away, that's not what patriotism is. It absolutely isn't. Again, it shows the emotional intelligence of America in general, when you still have citizens who are, let's take our court system, for example. Again, like I said, especially on the divorce side of things, it's a pay to play system, first off. Second off, it's a financial institution that receives revenues from states for putting people on child support. How can anybody, how can a person actually go into that system who's not fiduciarily able to, and win? You can't. It's an impossible thing, but we continue to allow it. We're not trying to change our system. We're simply trying to go back and, quote unquote, make America great again.
Yeah.
Dangerous times. Dangerous times. So
really dangerous.
That's what I've spent some of my time on, just thinking about this week. And like Cuzzo said, figuring out where we moving. She moving to Ghana. I know some other people that are going to be moving.
I want to check out Ghana. We should, not this year. I keep saying this because it's always close to the New Year's.
Yeah.
But next New Year's, we should save up to go to Ghana. We also need to make sure that we have a secure route back, because Ghana might be labeled a shithole country when we're there. They might block us from coming back.
Yeah.
You look like them.
Right. So it's crazy times. And speaking of crazy times, let's look at the cabinet that is being laid out. So just for preliminary education purposes, cabinet positions, there are 15 executive cabinet positions that are filled by any incoming POTUS. And they're generally hand selected, and a lot of them are confirmed by the Senate before anything progresses with them. And so those 15 are Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Labor, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, and Secretary of Treasury. So those are the executive departments that are going to be filled by highly influential people. Highly influential.
Yeah.
Oh, buying land in Ghana. You know what? Buying land in Ghana is reasonable.
Yeah.
And it is easy citizenship. I don't know if I want to be a citizen. You know,
Yeah, that's
uh,
that decision's buffering. Let's give it some time. Let it breathe.
yeah. Now there are other departments, but the 15 that I listed are the ones that have to be filled and confirmed by the Senate. Now, Japan. I went to Japan earlier this year, and
Tell me about that. Yeah.
oh my goodness, it's definitely on the list.
Yeah.
It's definitely on the list. So, anyway, go ahead. What you got?
All right. So, which one you want to start off with?
Let's take it from chief of staff. Let's look at the chief of staff.
I'm going to my notes here. Let me go to my notes.
All right.
White House Chief of Staff. All right. So we have our pick, Susie. How you say that? Wiles? Wills? Wiles?
Wiles.
Wiles. All right.
Yeah.
So her previous position, senior campaign advisor. So she advised on the campaign.
Yep.
I didn't have a chance to look at the history of other chiefs of staff. I would imagine that is a career course, being a campaign advisor. So it's not out of the woods. That being her previous post, also I wouldn't say out of the woods, because you can only be chief of staff maybe once or twice in your life, right?
Yeah.
At the White House, at least. All right. So the role, she's going to manage White House operations, advises the president. So think about, she's the president's, I want to say, right-hand person. I know the military way to say it, but what's the civilian term for chief of staff? That would make most sense.
It's a deputy director position.
Definitely director of president. Definitely that. I mean, the highest ranking person within the White House is not a cabinet or a deputy member, I would imagine. A pretty powerful position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty powerful position.
That's a good question. What is the equivalent?
Yeah, because I know, like in the military, but like the operations.
Yeah.
You know, the S3, G3. So
right.
Operations in the company, right? You're not the head, but you're a big piece of the puzzle.
I think that's a good way of operations management.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So role overview, we talked about that. We talked about the background, and here are we're getting some controversies with her, right?
Before you jump in there, what you drinking?
Yeah. Oh man, listen, for the night show, I had to pull out I made it look like juice. This is some of my Avion tequila, man.
Say what?
Yeah, Avion tequila, man. I couldn't pull out the good stuff. It's not a celebration.
Well, alcohol and tobacco sales go up during times of celebration as well as depression. So,
yes, indeed.
That's one thing that's common.
Yes, indeed.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Cranberry vodka with Sprite. Oh my goodness, there's a story behind that.
Cranberry vodka with Sprite. That's always
Hey, it's a banger. It's a banger.
I had Dr. Pepper with Jack. I've had the vanilla Jack.
Yep.
Vodka, the Sprite adds like a little fizz. Okay. I might try that.
Absolutely. Get on it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Terramano is it's on point too. So what is the controversy surrounding the chief of staff?
All right. So surrounding not our girl, let me not say that. Surrounding Trump's girl, Susie Wiles. Is that what we said? Wiles? Wells?
Mm-hmm. Wiles.
Yeah. Wiles. So some of her controversies, mild mannered compared to some of the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Typical run-of-the-mill stuff. Campaign disputes and some heavy campaign fraud allegations.
Yeah.
To be objective, that happens on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
What is considered campaign fraud, that definition is very vague. So,
But what you can
not
spend campaign finances on isn't as vague.
it's not, but then they start changing the colors of the money
Sure.
to make it match the end result,
Yeah.
and who gave it to them and what was the intent. That's what they
Yeah.
start to change up. Yeah.
That's how earmarks get plugged in, and we get a lot of pork in different bills that have nothing to do with the American citizens when they're pushed through the houses. And that's how a lot of these corporations get a bunch of the tax breaks. That's how they end up. You know what? A more important point is to add that whenever any of our political heads get in some type of jeopardy, essay and sexual assault or ethics violations, the taxpayers actually settle that for them. Just throwing that out there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I mentioned it not too long ago, but yeah. Anyway, so okay, that's so her biggest thing right now is a possible fraud, which amongst the other characters, that's very minute.
She's extremely mild, man. In fact, there are some people that I've read articles on that don't mind this pick too much, because she has a more centralist view. Now, with Trump in office, how does that matter? I doubt it. I think she's going to walk lock and step with him. I view her as more of a puppet that won't. The extent of her damage would be what Trump tells her to do and not what she does, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
So she'll be the scapegoat, essentially.
Oh, you already know.
Yeah.
You want to put a bet how long is she going to last?
She'll get 8 months to a year. I'll give her that.
Yeah, I want to give her more than a year.
And then, yeah, and then she's fired.
Yeah.
Speaking of being fired, so as we go through this cast of I'm not going to even call them clowns. I don't want to disrespect the circus. But as we go through this cast of picks, what we have to remember is there are celebrities that show up on this, and one of the biggest hypocrisies that I can think of is hearing Americans, especially the right, who lean right, say, "Well, who cares about what celebrities are saying? I don't care about that." But they chose a celebrity to be president, not once but twice. Twice, a billionaire celebrity who got his rocks off on quote unquote firing people. So that's neither here nor there. Just wanted to throw that out there. Because again, like I was talking to Maya, my lady earlier, and that
shout out Maya
all day, always. Something that I heard is just because you have yeah, absolutely.
I had to turn my bass down on my microphone. My earpads here, man. Earbuds. Yeah, dang. All right, I'm listening.
But just because a clown takes the seat of the emperor doesn't make him royalty. It simply makes the court a circus at that point.
Bars.
And that's what we're about to run into. That's what we're about to run into. So anyway, so Susie, you know, I wish her luck. Don't think she's going to last that long. Yeah, I'll be whipped. Absolutely. I'll stay there. Hey, what I know now about being in a relationship versus what I knew earlier on in life is it's actually okay with being whipped. I prefer it, but that's for Friday. We'll talk about that Friday.
Right.
All right. So now we're moving into the cluster. Attorney General select.
Ooh, yes.
Matt.
Let me scroll
Gaetz.
up. Hold on.
Matt Gaetz.
Hold on 1 second. There's some smudge on my notes. Oh no, that's just Matt Gaetz. Okay, never mind. It wasn't smudge. It was just him.
Yeah, it was him, Matt Gaetz, and so I'm gonna hold my spot in reserve. But what are your thoughts on? Well, let me read what he's done. So, Matt Gaetz, from Florida, has been nominated as the next Attorney General overseeing the Justice Department that he has long criticized. Mm-hmm. So he's been a very prominent voice against a ton of AGs, anything that they've done. He's been a huge critic of the three-letter societies. I've listened to him talking to witnesses that have come before any committee that he was with or sat on. And let's not forget that he was the one that got one of the speakers removed. He started that whole movement because the guy wasn't a Trump loyalist, as Gates is, unfortunately. So yeah, indeed. So this part, right? The questioning of his character. I just wanted to give a quick snippet of his background that I'm reading. But what you got? What you got, Deuce?
So, all right, this is interesting, man. Have you ever, in the history of your life, man, before the military, you had jobs, right?
Yeah, I had a ton of jobs.
Ton of jobs. And you had a job and you got other jobs, right, after that job.
Yep.
Did you ever in your life quit based on the promise of receiving another job?
No.
Okay,
No,
neither have I.
I've got to, I have to know that I've gone into the interview and I got a start date. Damn it. I need to start.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. It makes sense, right?
And
that is something that our current job teaches us. Until you have it in paper, it don't mean a thing.
True.
This guy, let's just use this as a reference of his decision making. Quit Congress. He was a House representative rep from Florida. My boy said, "Deuces, I'm working for Daddy as the AG." Right now, check this out. On the surface, that sounds like a very foolhardy move, right? There was an investigation being done into him by the ethics committee, right?
Yes, sir.
They were investigating this guy for hush money. This is a common theme, bro. Hush money, right? He's an alleged sex offender, right?
Yep.
Alleged. They dug into the case. They found two women that said, "Hey, Matt Gaetz paid us to have sex with him."
Yeah.
They dug in and they found $10,000 going from his account, an account with his name on it, to them. Now, I also have concerns about the two women involved because they slept with him for just $10,000. They could have got more. They definitely could have got more. If they're gonna make that decision, they should have got more. A dude whose face doesn't move. So I can't imagine what that's like, man. They slept with Pinocchio. The sad thing is, we know the law is the law, which I hope the AG knows. One of them was 17 at the time. Yes. So the transaction is proven. It backs the women's allegation. The ethics committee was starting to come down on Gaetz. The ethics committee jurisdiction only applies to members of Congress.
Yeah.
The moment you quit, it's like if I worked for McDonald's and I was stealing Big Macs out the back of Mickey D's,
which I may or may not have done one day.
I mean, I may not have like snuck chicken out of Applebee's, but if they're gonna come down and suspend me, if I quit, there's nothing else they can do.
Yeah.
Matt Gaetz quitting ceased this ethics investigation.
Yeah. And so what was being kicked around a bit was releasing it to the Department of Justice so that they could actually publish the investigation. Earlier this evening, I read an article saying that they weren't going to do that, and I don't understand. The moral decay of our country is in high gear. It is in high gear. Bad. Like, and this is my issue with Christian nationalists who claim to have to listen to a higher moral authority when it comes to things. However, they are okay with, hey, Bianca, 1980, that's a good year. But they voted for a man who has no moral compass, right? He cheated on his first wife, second wife, third wife, has been found sexually liable in court. I could go on, but we're not talking about him directly. We're talking about his cabinet picks. And
Right.
then not only that, but they're okay with Matt Gaetz being pushed into one of the highest legal chair in the land,
Mm-hmm.
and their morals are okay with this. I have a huge issue with that. How is that what they prayed for?
That's a good question. You would think that it would cause them some introspection, right? But because looking at everything that they say they supported, they're getting it now. This is the pure definition of fuck around and find out. And unfortunately, those of us that did not want to play that
That's
game
what's
are
been going
now
on.
in this game. And so here's my this is what my brain says, because digging into old Matty Gates, right? Matty
Matt
G,
Gaetz.
slick face. That's what he
Yeah.
called him, slick face.
Slip out.
So speaking of those people, right? There's a senator. Senators have power, right? An Oklahoma senator. A very unique name, man. Mark Wayne Mullen.
Yes.
His parents didn't know whether I think dad wanted Mark, mom wanted Wayne. They said, "Bump it, we're gonna put it together."
First
Mark
names.
Wayne Mullen. He called out Matt Gaetz publicly,
Yeah.
and he said that Matt Gaetz was in Congress, in the halls of our government, showing pictures and bragging about having sescapades using. Matt Gaetz is what, like in his late 30s, early 40s,
Yeah.
using Viagra and chasing it with energy drinks.
Yeah. Hitting it. Hit that Red Bull.
But who brags about having to use Viagra and Red Bull
A
for
pervert.
sexcapades?
A pervert. That's who does it.
This is who's going to lead our halls of justice.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: this dude went on public television and said that. Now that he's elected, now that Matt Gaetz is nominated for this chair, that same guy on the state news network, Fox News, was asked, "Will he support this?" And he said, "I believe in any candidate that President Donald Trump elects or selects."
That's a cult.
Yeah,
That's a cult.
yeah,
That's what it is. You've given over your morals. You've given over your isms, your belief systems, because this one man has said, "This is who I want."
yeah. That's what it's funny. That's what they said about Matt Gaetz. And he said he
Disgusting.
wants you. We can do this the easy way
Or
or the hard way.
Or the hard way. He gonna get it. So
Mhm.
Matt Gaetz is disgusting. He's absolutely disgusting. So
And
hopefully,
completely disqualified.
yeah, absolutely. Not just that, but the trick that they're going to try and play is to have these persons occupy the seats while everyone's out of session, right? While they're in recess. There
So,
is rule that pushes back on that, but the current climate of our politics, he'll get whatever he wants, unfortunately. At the
yeah,
behest.
you're right. I read up on that. So the only time that the president can force both chambers of the government to recess is if there's a deadlock over
Yeah.
the candidate, right? He's trying to bypass that. He's trying to do it in reverse.
Yeah.
So before they even vote, recess, boom, 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 I appoint him.
Yep. So at this point, like I don't care what anybody's saying about Diddy. If Gates can be the attorney general, yeah, I'm about to start siding with Richard. Like,
Yeah.
nah, you not finna do this, that, and the third, and you got the attorney general who's got witnesses saying that he's had intercourse with underage girls occupying that seat. Nah, there
Mhm.
are no more rules. There
No,
are no more rules.
no.
The moral decay of America is so gone and removed. It's so deep seated. Hatred and fear has become so deep seated in America that it's professed itself to the highest seats in our land. Anyway, so who we got next? Let's get off of that guy. I don't like Matt Gaetz. I've watched him for a while. I've never liked him. I don't like his antics. I don't like the person he is on TV. And listening to some of the allegations that have been made against him, I don't like him as a person in general. Bring back Freaknik.
He said he's gonna make that legal. But keep in mind, man, the ties to Project 2025, right? You remember how when they were breaking up the education department, a lot of those programs that they overwatched was going to go to the Department of Justice. You remember that?
Yep.
Who's over the Department of Justice? The AG, right?
Yep.
Matt Gaetz.
Yep. We were reading about that, and the biggest thing that people kept saying is, "Well, that's not his. He doesn't care. He has nothing to do with Project 2025." And now that found out part is kicking into high gear.
Big time. And people are out here chanting, telling women, "Your body, my choice."
Crazy.
People look it up. It's on social media. That's chanting that.
Yes.
Gaetz is going to push that further.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
My
he's pushing that far because Trump wants an empowered justice system, like a civilian martial law, if you will.
Yeah.
Gaetz is going to do anything Daddy tell him to do.
Absolutely. That's what he's been doing. That's what he's going to continue to do. As long as he can maintain some form of power. That's all he cares about. All right. So who you got next? All right, let's go to Secretary of Defense. Oh,
that's a prestigious post, man. This is the person that's in charge of the armed forces. Keep in mind, U.S. has the biggest, baddest military on Earth, right? On the planet, toe to toe, who can go with us? So this is the person that is directly in charge of that. Oversees U.S. military and advises on defense and national security matters. So, in my mind, I would think that the person for this job would be well versed into the DoD enterprise, right? That's what I would think. When you look at the Army, the Sergeant Major of the United States Army has always been the active duty cat.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever been one of the other National Guard or Reserve.
Nope, right? Not the other components. It has not.
The Commanding General, I don't ever remember seeing a National Guard or Reserve General of the Army, right? So, but this guy, he was in the National Guard. And this is not to disparage the National Guard by any means. He served in Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, right? I think he made it up to major.
I thought it was captain, but it could have been major.
Yeah, captain. It was not a field grade. And that, even still, okay. Part-timer, you deployed some. You were a Fox News host. A conservative commentator who said, I don't want to misquote him. He did not say women should not be in the military. Women can't do combat jobs.
Combat jobs. Yeah. Combat roles.
That was that. Combat roles. He's also really big on coming down on the disability claims that veterans have.
They oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And so from what the people in the service that voted for Trump and now Trump speaking to this guy, hey, he coming at some of those necks.
He's coming at. So one of the biggest things that he wants to do, if memory serves me right, and hopefully I'm quoting this correct. If not, I'll come back later and correct myself. But disability and retirement, he wants to cut that. You can get disability, but you ain't getting retirement. All these other benefits, medical, all that, we gotta get ready to roll that back. That's his stance on that. Yeah, that's his stance. Goodness gracious.
That's what the dude wants to do. You ain't getting both. I don't care that you volunteer as a volunteer force to protect America. Yep. I don't care that you sacrifice whatever you did. Speaking of patriotism, this guy's a patriot. Other things, other controversies. You remember back in the back during the 20-year war, right? That's what should be written down in the history books. Iraq. The
Yeah.
Blackwater was blacklisted for a lot of. Oh my God, they were terrible. But there was a
Yeah.
contractor that killed 14 unarmed Iraqi civilians.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Guess who came to his backing? Pete.
Oh,
He
my
stood out for him.
goodness.
Also, his own unit, bro. His own unit, his own security manager flagged him for suspicious activity. You want to know why?
Why?
Brother got a white supremacist. Let me speak correct. He has a
It's
tattoo. Yeah, that's linked to white supremacy. I looked it up.
on his chest.
Mess up the name. Those vault or something like that. It's a tattoo, right? It was first chanted by Catholics during the crusade. During the crusades, the first crusades. If we know about history, that was when white folks came down on the brown folks, right? Pretty
Long
much.
story short, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Catholics, Muslims in the Middle East, okay, right? They chanted it then. A lot of white supremacy groups chant it now. Case in point, the
Yes.
ones that were marching in Ohio with the Nazi flags. So
Yep.
that's really him. So he ties in with Project 2025's America Exceptionalism, which you talked about.
Yes. Yep.
Because he wants to get the military back in line with the old school ways. Diversity and inclusion, out. Cultural awareness, out.
Done. Done.
Collaborative mission planning, out. You do this because I say so, and I know the best way.
Done. It's over. It's over. Again, remember, I was talking earlier about the progression of America and this expression that we want to be progressive. We want to do and feel and see better. We want to yada, yada, yada. But you look at what we're doing. You look at the people that we're putting in power and we're putting in place. And I have to be realistic. That is not who America is. America doesn't want to be progressive. It doesn't want to be. There's a certain segment of America that does not want to be progressive.
That's a better set. Yeah. Better statement.
That way. I'll say it that way.
So championing like first black this, first woman that. Nah.
Done.
Wants to go back.
First Polynesian, done. They can kill all of that. We'll probably start having deal photos again. What's good, Cuzzo? What's good? Yeah, America was sold for $1,200. Those stimulus checks. It was sold. But that's another conversation for another time. But I agree with you on that. So yeah, they are going to set up what in my head, I started thinking about it, calling them trials to see whether or not generals are woke. Now, the question that I always have people who go in on wokeness, quote unquote wokeness, is what is woke? What is being woke? What does that mean? And they can't answer that question. And I'm happy.
I know what they mean by, but I want to hear what you think.
They never answer the question.
Oh,
yeah.
They don't answer because who's asking?
Well, they don't know what it is. It's a talking point to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
What do you think they mean by it? If they could answer honestly, what do you think they would say?
If they would answer honestly, being woke is not accepting the stance of American citizens that are tread on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wanting and needing a class subservient to who they think they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it means to them. That's what they would say. That's what they would, if they could be honest, they'd say, no, black people shouldn't be leading anything. Women shouldn't be leading anything. Jesus is the only way. And it's not a historically accurate Jesus. It's the white Jesus that's supposed to be in your church, because America is a Christian nation, which it is not. That's what they would say.
Hmm. Yeah,
Unfortunate.
no, I'm with you, man. To them, woke was another subterm for black, and they lump us together, black and the alphabet crew.
Yep. Yep.
So that's
So
wild.
it's wild. Secretary of State pushing forward. Well, actually, let's go because I just mentioned somebody
Yeah, I
who
was
is
looking at that.
McMahon. Um, McMahon is going to be. I want to be able to read all of it without skipping. Because there's so much craziness in here. Give me 1 second. Let me get to it.
That's crazy. Does
Yeah.
she know she's leading the the beginning of the end? Okay.
Department of Education. Department of Education.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it's not from a standpoint of making it better. Again, these are sycophants that he's putting in place on purpose, right? And the question that I have is, what background does she have to head the Department of Education?
Oh, bro. Did you see that? Let me read this. Trump made a statement. Blah, 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 blah. We will send education back to the states,
We
and
talked
Linda
about
will spearhead that effort.
we talked about that. We
You think?
talked about that. The dangers involved with sending education back to the states. Again, a basic truth, a basic fact about America. The Republican was going on H-Town. The Republican states are at the top of two things in America: receiving aid, federal aid, right? That's one, and the poorest education systems. That's two. Sending education back to a state. Our example was Mississippi. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, that was our example.
Yeah.
What type of education do you think children that look like us are going to receive? What resources are those schools going to receive? What is it? What are they going to do in that state? That, I mean, we've already seen what they've done with Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Right? They're even thinking about sending interracial marriage back down to the states. What
Dude, it's going to be a spectacle because the name McMahon. This is
McMahon?
Miss Vince McMahon,
Yeah,
WWE. I can
yeah,
smell. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? Right? She's gonna
yeah.
make this a spectacle, my guy.
Oh, easy.
Cutting and, and I talked about it before. Forget race, forget gender. Uneducated people, majority, voted for Trump. Rich folks, they got a reason. I actually understand their reason. I do. I understand their reason for voting for Trump. If you're rich, everyone else, I can't even. There's not an inkling there, right? She's gonna bruh, Mississippi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We all know we make jokes about how crazy Florida is. Like, whoo,
Well,
it's
again,
already it's wild.
like Florida, Mississippi,
Mhm. Yeah,
Alabama, the
yeah,
Carolinas, um, somewhat Texas, depending on how they do it, because Texas already has independent school districts.
yeah.
Uh, Arizona, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Mhm.
Uh, those states are about educationally, they are about to be flatlined.
Yeah,
They're
big
going
time.
to be flatlined.
Yeah.
If you thought the mood, and unfortunately, the only thing that I can continue to compare what's happening to America to is the movie Idiocracy. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
we
like
are
that.
falling into the script letter by letter of the movie Idiocracy,
Yeah,
just to appease a, a, a narcissist. that's what's going on. So yeah, Linda McMahon uh, is being nominated for the Department of Education.
To see is sending education back to the states, bro. We're becoming more and more like the EU,
I don't look. It's hard for me to agree with that because I think the EU is going to be better off.
structurally wise. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, no, EU will be. They actually care about the people. They show some in some ways, but as far as structure, we're not going to be. We'll be more of a federation and not a united country.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi
Oh,
Gabbard.
back to those.
You know, she used to be in
So serious.
351. She was with
Yeah,
351.
man. Yeah,
Uh,
I heard. I seen a lot of pictures of people posting of her.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Oh, she's a
yeah.
former Democratic presidential candidate turned Republican, represented Hawaii's second congressional district from 2013 to 2021. Um, I don't know if she's still lieutenant colonel in the army or not.
I
She,
I don't
I
know
think,
if you have to resign. Yeah, you at least go in IR or something. You can't because you can't be available to get called up when you're in this position. So
yeah, they
I don't
be
know how
non,
that works. Yeah,
yeah, but the way that she's flip flopped over the last couple of years gives me grave concern about her actual intentions in that position. Do I think she
yeah.
can do the job? I think she's intelligent enough to do the job, absolutely, but I don't know what her intentions are, and I don't know where her foundation is. Does she know how to soldier? At least from an officer standpoint, I
Mhm.
think she does. Uh, I didn't when I was with 351, I was leaving out of 351 as she was there, and it was also during COVID. I know my buddy Jimmy, you know Morello.
Mhm.
He had more conversation with her than what I did. And at the time, she was with 351. She was waving the Democratic banner. Now I don't know what her and VP Harris got into to make her so upset and feel so much angst against VP Harris. I don't know if she was upset that she got the VP nomination and and she Tulsi didn't. But she has a
Tulsi
go
Tulsi
ahead.
called Kamala the main instigator in starting the Russian-Ukraine war and almost starting World War III.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane to say that.
Mhm.
But people also started saying here recently that uh, President Biden just started World War III with allowing or with authorizing American long range missiles to
Yeah,
Ukraine.
yeah.
Just other unfounded foolishness. All right, so that's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Uh, Secretary of State.
Oh, hold up. Before we jump off of her, let's not forget national intelligence, right?
Yeah.
She's openly supported
Oh
Assad
yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
Syria when he
Yeah.
was out there just murking people
Yep.
like
Yep.
it's Call of Duty, his own
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
So Assad's a good guy. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Uh, she voiced support for Putin over her own president, which was Obama at the time, saying that he could get the job done, and Obama's ill qualified.
Yeah.
So she she tends to fall in line with dictators. So her switching stance with Trump, who has a lot of those same characteristics, is not
Okay.
shocking based off if you look at that trend, right?
Okay. Okay. I'm following you. I'm
Yeah.
following you.
So it's going to be really interesting in how she's a director of national defense. She also said she supported Putin's claims that the Ukraine had a massive biological center because that was one of Putin's reasons for invading
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Weapons of mass destruction. I'm sorry, no, wrong war. A
Same,
big biological lab.
same playbook, different game, right?
Yeah, yeah. Tongue twist, man. My bad.
Yeah.
So she supports that claim also, which is interesting uh, to see where Trump himself and the cabinet stands on support to Ukraine, which just based off of Trump's comments, I think that's coming. I'm not gonna say it's coming to a close, but that waterfall is gonna turn to a dripping faucet.
Oh, it's gonna drip. It's just gonna be a quick trickle. And
Hmm.
oddly enough, there was something that happened, with President-elect Trump's claim of ending the Russia-Ukraine war within 24 hours after his nomination that I thought was absolutely hilarious, and that was Putin. Well, allegedly Putin um, had the Russian media outlet put salacious photos of Trump's wife on primetime news.
Oh,
Primetime news.
on prime
And
time.
so, yeah. So do we really think that he's going to be able to get anything done with that guy?
Well, first of all, you got to define what you mean by 24 hours, okay? Because in a
Yeah, sure.
world that does not believe in facts, you got to define what you mean by 24 hours, man. Maybe he has a different definition in mind. Maybe his hours are more like months. But that's a low blow, man. To to come at a guy's wife. I mean, but is he posting anything that wasn't easily found publicly, anyways?
Not that it wasn't easily findable. It's just the manner in which he went about doing it,
That's true. It's
making
still that's messed up.
making him a laughing stock and disrespecting that man's family.
Hmm.
Regardless of what I agree with or disagree with President Trump on, I'm not going to disrespect his wife,
Yeah.
especially on public television.
Public TV, bro. It's like broadcasting it on I was gonna say PBS, but our real estate sponsored network, Fox. Like, because there's people that watch Fox. I don't know who watches PBS or C-SPAN anymore.
I don't. I should. They have so much dope programs on there. But
They really do.
yeah, that is what happened with his buddy old Vlad. All right. So Secretary of State Mark Rubio, Florida, is nominated as next Secretary of State. He will bring foreign policy experience through his role in the Senate Intelligence Committee and the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Cuban American. He is set to be the first Latino person to be Secretary of State. I don't have anything good to say about Marco Rubio.
Mm.
I really don't.
Yeah.
The reason why is because all of these guys flip flopped. They flip flopped, and
You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
they all flip flopped. Where at one point, uh, President Trump was the worst thing, and he'll never. Polar Nights, my man, welcome back. It's been a while. Um, he'd never get the presidency to licking his boots,
Mhm.
and not just that, but even when their people were in trouble in Florida, trying to get relief from FEMA, not doing right by his own constituents,
Right.
not being able to do that. So I have very little good to say about Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Matt Gaetz, these types of folks in that same ilk that I I, I do not I don't dig them, and I don't want to publicly disrespect them, but there is a definitive term and a set of phrases I would use for them. I just won't do it tonight.
I think the PC way would be his actions have exhibited a lack of backbone, right?
Oh, to say the least.
Well, I love a person that's able to evolve in their thoughts and maybe change their mind because the information they gained differs from the information they had before when they made that decision. But what he has shown is, like you said, after a couple of defeats, uh, uh, i- i- if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. No, no, I don't have that same regard. To me, give me 1 second. This is about to go off. If you can't beat them the first time, you keep trying. Oh, I messed that up. And there we go. All right. Now it won't go off again. So it's they have spines like snakes. That's the best way I can sum it up.
Mhm.
And seeing a person who will do anything, say anything, act any way, change who they are, take any form of verbal abuse, embarrassment, so on and so forth, simply to maintain uh, a perspective or the perception of power, that person can't be trusted. They can't be
Right.
trusted. So again, I've watched Marco Rubio throughout his evolution as a politician, and nothing good from this side. It's not that I'm being politically correct. It's just that the land bashing that I do right now, I it'd be a it'd be a moment in history for the verbal onslaught that I would use against Marco Rubio and Matt Gaetz right about now. So we'll push forward. We'll push forward. Who you got to shoot next?
Oh, so let's speaking of I was about to use a transition there. I was about to say speaking of trash. Let's go to Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Right?
EPA, yes.
We know the EPA is
Yeah.
charged with protecting the environment, man. So we can have like a Central Park up in New York. So we can have air that we can breathe. So we can have water that we could drink. Hello, Flint, Michigan. So things that we could do. So we have lead. I'm sorry, lead. I'm about to call him Led Zeppelin. Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin, right? He's a
Yeah.
rep out of New York, representative, right? And the EPA's role is to enforce environmental laws to protect public health. That's its charter. That is what it's supposed to do. How does it do that? It does it through regulation,
Yeah.
restriction, protection. This dude said Trump called him the great deregulator, right? This dude went on the state-sponsored news network, Fox, after his nomination and said there are regulations that the left wing of this country has been advocating through regulatory power that ends up causing businesses to go in the wrong direction. Yes, protecting the environment might cost businesses a bit more money because they need to put their waste in a proper place. Don't dump it in our waters. Hello, BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, right?
Right.
There are things that they have to do to protect the land that we have, which their workers live on, to provide them those profits. It's a circle. It's a cycle. They can't talk to Mufasa about the circle of life.
My man
so
just
this guy,
said, give me a second. He said Matt Gaetz, Diddy, and Drake are nominated to be the babysitters of the year. Cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. He hit him. That's probably the funniest thing I've heard in a while.
wow, man. So you got BBL Drizzy,
BBL Drizzy.
Diddy Oil, right? Diddy or Diddy.
Yeah. Get the Diddy oil.
Yeah, and straight face. Okay.
17 and under. Yeah. Mr. 17. Mr. 17 and under, allegedly.
My mind's telling me no.
Hey,
but my body.
Look, they got a free R. Kelly at this point.
Man, they really, yeah. Hey, bro.
They got a free Kelly.
If they free Kelly, man, Trump will nominate that dude over child care services. That's how his picks go. They need to, because if Gaetz is out, keep tangent real quick. Diddy's doing everything he can to get out.
Yes.
He listed some other two people that have similar charges. They're out. I want to see if his lawyer lists Matt Gaetz. Maybe not, because if he becomes AG, that will piss him off, and he's definitely not getting out. So maybe not. Maybe that's a bad move on Diddy's lawyer.
I don't know. Birds of a feather. Birds of a feather. I mean, Matt, he might have been at some of them Diddy parties.
He just might have been.
No, they ain't singing soprano.
Oh.
They all for it. Well, Kels ain't, but Diddy all for it. He don't care what you got as long as there's a hole in the human. He's with it.
I unfortunately heard that Diddy and Meek Mill's alleged audio.
Oh no.
It was, bruh. That was a torture chamber. Uh, that Meek Mills was in.
I don't
Um,
hear it.
um, so going back to the deregulator in chief here, he wants to roll back all of Biden era climate regulations for power plants, oil and gas, vehicles, refrigerants, huge into fracking. All of this carbon emission testing out the door.
Done. It's
Um,
done. It's
yeah,
done.
it's. I'm worried about like our actual parks too, man. Yellowstone, um,
What parks? We ain't finna
Yosemite.
have no parks.
Right. There's a lot of resources under those parks, man. Alaska is a state about to be broken up into some islands. What's fracking
Yeah,
it up?
we're not about to have any Federal Reserve parks. If they've got
No.
resources that we need to get, we finna get them because
Drill,
business.
baby, drill.
Yep, because business. That's why.
Yeah.
So and I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope we have a few stakeholders left in our political system that says, "But wait, let me filibuster."
The filibuster number is it's going to be tough for the Democrats. They're going to need some Republicans to filibuster.
Yeah, and
Because they're mollywopping. They're
yeah,
You talking about how they say a coach is going to be fired at the end of the season? They call him a lame duck coach.
yeah,
The Democratic Party is essentially a lame duck party.
yeah. They're props. They're gonna be
Yeah,
props,
yeah.
and it might fare well for 2028, but
If they
leading,
could come up with some type of plan,
man, I'm so
that's
disappointed.
yeah.
We've got to get away from this two-party system. It's such a
Well,
drain. It's
be careful what you say because for the next 4 years, or next 2 years at least, we have gotten away from the two-party system.
yeah, we're going into a Reich. We're going
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that's what's happening. Dang, we already had an hour. We still got so much to talk about.
Oh man, yeah. Because I gotta pick up little man in a minute. All right, who much you want to cover?
So let's hit some highlights real quick. Let's
Okay, yeah.
talk about Robert E.
Ooh.
Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services. I knew where you were going. I felt it coming.
Something in my throat, my bad.
I felt it coming. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Health and Human Services. Mr. Conspiracy himself.
Mm.
Mr. I'm not going to show you fact, just believe me, bro. That's who he is. Mr. I don't care what your answer is as I'm asking you questions. I'm still going to tell you that what I just assumed to be true in my conspiracies, that's what you are.
Mr. AKA on my mama, I'm telling you the truth.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's such a shit show.
Mm.
Such a shit show. Like okay, so let me back up to read the small snippet. Robert F.
Yeah.
Kennedy to the Department of Health and Human Services. The 2024 independent candidate has previously criticized vaccines and questioned the origin of the COVID-19 virus. He is arguably best known for spreading unfounded claims about a link between childhood vaccines and autism.
Yeah.
That's what we're working with for human health, for the health and human services. That's what we're about to be working with.
Yeah.
I don't care what science says. I don't care if it's the truth. I don't care if it's factual.
No. And let's not forget Mr. On My Mama said that he's gonna make some cuts. He's gonna start with the in the nutrition departments.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and
Oh
here's
yeah.
something. Here's something. I try to find something in the musk, in the darkness. I'm like, there's a glimmer of something. He is against processed foods. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And he wants to get rid of processed foods. I'm like, hey, brother, I'm for that, but I also know the economics of it's going to make food a bit more expensive.
It's going to make food extremely expensive because
It
we
is
don't
gonna make it
produce
extremely
food
expensive.
like that. We don't
No.
produce food like that. That's part of the issue with tariffs, right? And it's such a fictional thing to do to say that America is going to be able to produce the same way within the short amount of time that
Mm-hmm.
we're going to cover all the industry.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's going to increase prices. The laws and the balances of supply and demand are about to be thrown out the window. There's no more rules. There are no more rules. There's no more science to these politics. None. But I do agree with the processed foods being done away with. I think it should be a phased process,
Yeah.
uh, but it would make
But
Americans healthier overall.
here's a crazy thing though. So he touts that, and then all the right wings like, hallelujah, best thing I've ever heard of in my life. No one has ever thought this is the most original idea. Hello, Michelle Obama.
Oh my goodness.
When Obama was in office, Michelle, this is what she stood on: a healthier America vis-a-vis through food.
Yeah.
She
And
talked about this,
yep.
and they thumped and
They
one of these
her
they
a new one.
gestured. One of
Yeah.
the Fox News hosts was like, "How dare you tell me what French fries or hamburgers I can eat?"
Yep.
But now they're praising a man that says he has a dead worm in his brain.
Look,
So yeah,
progression of America.
yeah,
Progression of America. I know you got a split, and so I won't hold you any longer, but we will come back next week and finish up the rest of these appointees.
yeah.
And I'm looking at these articles that I was reading about everybody earlier, and it's we ain't even got to Doge yet. We ain't even got to Elon and Ramaswamy. We ain't even got to that yet, and
We didn't.
it's Stephen fucking Miller. We ain't even got to Stephen Miller yet. Chief of staff, we'll get there next week.
But yeah, no. Oh, and Chris Wright. I love how Trump picks the people. If you say I hate something, I'm gonna put you in charge of that. But yeah, no, you're right. Let's save some meat in the bone for next week.
Yeah. So we'll pick it back up next week, and we'll line out the rest of the appointments. And I'll go back through your notes also, and then I'm sure that there's going to be a ton of more
Oh my
information
God,
that
yeah,
comes out
yeah.
between now and
Facts.
then. So we might rehash some, but we'll continue to line out all of these different positions, and I'll do a deeper dive into the persons behind the position, the persons
Same.
behind the positions, because we brace for impact. That's all I can say. We've got to brace for impact. So before we go, we always close out with a final thought. So by all means, final thoughts on you.
I gotta say that I hope that it's a two-party system. And I personally think the government works best when you have representatives from both sides to balance out the extremists on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we have a completely red government, and that is scary. I would say the same thing if we had a completely blue government. We need factions of both to balance things out. We need, what is that, purple?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be difficult times ahead. It's a 4-year stretch in 2-year increments because of the Congress, how the Congress goes. I think the key thing to do now, people think that they don't have power to do things. We still do. 2 years, we have, I don't know if it's the Senate or the Congressman, it's one of the two, maybe both. We still got to vote for that. Still got to get the word out. And even now, people can still, next show, I'm going to start, I think every episode, we should start listening to contact informations for the senators and some key congressmen from each state.
Okay.
If people care to, reach out to those people. You never know what message they could get could sway an opinion, or maybe sway it this way, sway it that way. Maybe they don't read it, but at least we can say we've done something, right?
Yeah.
There are still minute things that we can do. All hope is not lost. Here's a thought. Jedi, Star Wars. That's what we living in, man.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's what we living in right now. And I'm trying to be like Luke Skywalker in this mug. I ain't trying to be like Obi-Wan Kenobi because he got Luke Skywalker, bro. He's still out there living. So that's what we got to be, man. It's a resistance. Got to get smart, and we hope that the Democratic Party does the same thing.
All right, I can dig that. I don't know what happened to Richard. We're on final thoughts. I was gonna let him up, but his picture's gone. And okay, well, my final thoughts is dig in. America gets what she deserves, and currently, unfortunately, it doesn't look good for the American citizen as a whole. I understand the concepts that people were standing behind during their votes. I understand those concepts. Practical application, however, is going to be something that's totally and completely different, I think, based off of some of the nominations, the names for the nominations that we see. This is America. We've got to hang on to this beautiful experiment we call democracy.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to fight for it, and in lockstep with Deuce. It's at the end of the day, it's still we the people. It's still we the people that have the power, and not the opposite way around. Remember, the politicians work for us. They work for us, and when and if we see things going south, before we let it get too far out of hand, we the people remember that this democratic experiment was set up for us. It was set up for us. So let's remember that and try to maintain whatever it is that we can, so that we can maintain our nation and our country. Those are my final thoughts. I'm gonna pull Richard up and see if he got final thoughts. Rich, you got any final thoughts? I don't know if you listened to
Yeah,
it throughout.
no, I didn't. I just got on. I was stuck in traffic.
Yeah, missed you
The only
today,
thing
man.
Huh?
Missed you this episode, bro.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry for letting y'all down. My only final thought is he got elected, Donald Trump, with the Electoral College and the popular vote.
Yeah.
He's picking his people. He said he was going to do things differently this time around. So the people who gave him maximum support, well, all of those particular people he's picking, some of the African Americans that gave him maximum support, he has yet to pick them for
Ooh.
key roles.
Mm.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, see that I was gonna bring that out because I'm waiting for the Tim Scott
You're right.
Yeah, or
Wow.
Brian Donalds, the congressman.
or Brian Donalds. Yeah,
Yeah, or Candace Owens.
yeah.
Wow.
And there's another one.
I
Or
didn't even
Mark
notice that.
Robinson,
I
the
did.
guy who
Yeah.
ran for lieutenant governor, running for governor in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But you
Good
know,
points.
Donald Trump said that he was going to shake things up,
He's
but he
doing it.
also said he was going to destroy the DOJ, Department of Education. But he just appointed Linda McMahon to the Department of Education to run that. So he's
Yep.
already reneged on that certain promise.
Mhm.
Well, not maybe. It's yet to be seen because she could
Okay.
spearhead. Because
Okay.
in the statement, he said that she's going to spearhead the movement of returning education back to the states, which
Okay.
the implied statement is he's still going to undo it and just send it back to the states.
Yeah, again, it's another Roe v. Wade tactic.
Yeah, yet to be
Okay.
seen. So you got a good point, but that was a statement that he made when he appointed old McMahon.
Well, those are my final thoughts. The country elected him to be back in office. He's not waiting to get in there before he makes his appointments. He's making his appointments now. We'll
He's
see
ready.
how much influence he has on the Senate. They should pass all of his appointments, no problem, with the exception of Matt Gaetz. But allegedly, President-elect Trump is not backing off Matt Gaetz.
Mm.
So I guess we will find out just how much control or influence Trump has over the Republican-controlled Senate.
Mm. Good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a fair point. So yeah, we'll pick this up next week. No, you
Next-
know what? My bad, Rich. I don't know if you were finished. Go ahead.
No. So next week's the day before Thanksgiving. So if I know for sure you're going to do it next Wednesday evening, I'll be ready next Wednesday evening.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is day before Thanksgiving. I'll be driving to see my folks, man. Damn it.
Okay. All right. We'll take a pause and come back the week following.
Okay.
Or
Okay,
unless we do it that Tuesday.
I can do Tuesday. Rich, can you do Tuesday?
Yeah. Next Tuesday is
All right.
fine.
Good catch.
So what time
Oh,
next?
my God.
Well, it'll be 6:00 my time, Pacific time next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will.
So that's the 26th. Okay. I'll put it in my
I'm
phone. And
putting in mind now.
I'll make sure that on the 26th, I'm ready to go by 6 p.m.
Okay. Good deal.
Do you know what topic you want to talk about next week on Tuesday, or you still wait for a while?
No, we're going to continue the cabinet
Okay.
appointments. Continue going down the lane. Just do a bit of a deeper dive into everything that we've been talking about, so that we can bring to light who it is that we will have in these positions of influence and power. Because we didn't get to Stephen Miller. We didn't get to Tom Holman. We didn't get to Doug Burgum. We didn't get to Doug Collins. We didn't get to several different appointment positions.
But you already talked about Matt Gaetz and Hecksmith.
But we can Hexeth, yeah, a little bit. We can circle back around to him next week. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they'll be talking. Who knows? By next week, they may not be nominees no more. You never know.
Facts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah, as always, family, you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to hang out with us tonight. We greatly appreciate that. And with that being said, God bless and good night.